Hello and welcome to this edition of Jamaica Magazine. I'm your host, Adrian Atkinson. We have a wonderful lineup just for you, so don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
You know the adage, water is life? Rightly stated, as it supports all living beings. But with the passing of a hurricane, supply may be compromised and properly stored water could just become our lifeline. Step 1. It is best to use food-grade containers to store water. This means that the material used is fit for human consumption and won't have toxic substances entering your water. Step 2. Be sure to wash and rinse the container thoroughly in preparation for water storage. Step 3. After filling the container, be sure to seal it tightly. If it has a screw-on cap, ensure it's tightly closed. This will prevent contamination. Step 4. Also, to prevent contamination, store water in a cool, dark place. This is to minimize exposure to temperature fluctuations, which can degrade the quality of the water and the container. Step 5. Replace stored water frequently to ensure freshness. You may use older water for non-drinking purposes. Step 6. Additionally, you may want to label the containers with the date of storage. This will help you keep track of how long the water has been stored. Step 7. Drinking water containing bacteria and viruses can lead to serious health issues and diseases such as diarrhea, cholera, or dysentery. If you're in doubt as to the state of your drinking water, you may want to apply water purification methods such as boiling to get rid of any bacteria. Step 8. Finally, going back to point number 1, do not store water in containers that have been used for chemicals or substances that can leach into the water and your system. Ensure that your stored water remains safe and drinkable. Protect your water, and it will protect you.
Some Jamaicans are still reeling from the effects of Hurricane Beryl, including persons in the agricultural sector, particularly those who grow plantains and bananas. Janet Coney of the Banana Board is here to shed some light on the matter.
Welcome to Get the Facts, the show that gives you information on the topics you care about. I'm Theodore Henry. Today we're focusing on the agriculture sector, but more specifically, the recovery of banana and plantain farms, following Hurricane Beryl, of course. We're joined by Janet Coney, General Manager of the Banana Board, and she's here to discuss the challenges farmers face and the vital steps they must take to ensure their operations bounce back. Welcome to Get the Facts, Mrs. Coney.
Thanks so much for having me.
All right, let's jump right into getting some facts. Now, the heavy rains have come, and we might even have some more on the horizon. Mm-hmm. Could you just give our audience an idea? What are the immediate steps you take? Okay,
bananas has been impacted by hurricanes for a while. So preparations were in place. Farmers were prepared beforehand.
Okay.
So I won't go into what they should have done.
Right.
Lots of things they should have done. Right. But once the hurricane has hit, once the windstorms and the rains have passed, immediately resuscitation starts. So the farmer would go back to his fields, look at what is there, so he can have an idea. But immediately, within 2 days, he needs to start chopping back. He needs to start moving away the debris from the mat, the root itself, and he needs to assess his damage in terms of what plants, what fruits he can recover, what fruits he can cover up to keep for a few days, a few weeks, and whether he needs, make an assessment whether he needs to just start, take out everything and start. Because your damage really determines how you proceed.
Right.
For example, if the entire field is uprooted, let's say the water came in and you have lost the roots itself, there's nothing standing, then you really need to be replanting.
Right, right.
In this particular hurricane, not many farmers are like that, but there are some. It's the wind that affected them mostly, so they break Now, if they break, you need to determine when you're going to chop back to encourage the next generation, which is the next follower. And that is why we say you need to start very early, within 2 weeks, to do that chop back to get that generation going. So you clear the roots, you chop back, and chop back is a specific procedure.
Yes, I've been waiting for the...
you know, some farmers call you chop and leave a gooseneck. You make 2 chops and you have something that is hanging over.
Okay.
But, you know, and that helps the sucker that is coming up, the one that you have selected, feeds from that mother plant for a while. And so we recommend that.
Right.
Some persons don't like the gooseneck, so they chop a little further up, but then you have to discourage that we call it the main meristem. You have to dig out so that that main plant, that maiden plant don't grow back, so that all of the nutrients get invested in the next generation, which is the follower. And that we ask everybody to do within the first 2 weeks. So I notice you have on your screen preliminary assessment. Our preliminary assessment has to be done within 2 weeks,
right,
so that the farmers can know how to proceed.
But on the point of preliminary assessment, I am aware, we've seen the videos, we've seen the pictures, I'm aware that an assessment was done from your level.
Yes.
What's it looking like out there?
When we look the first couple of days, it looked like a 90% damage, because we have officers who go out and look and see. But since that, we have done a detailed assessment.
Right.
And the detailed assessment is showing an average of 74%.
Okay.
Now, 74% is it doesn't give us anything to be happy about.
Right.
Because everything over 50% is a catastrophe for bananas.
Yeah.
At 74%, the damage assessment is amounting to $2.1 billion. Billion dollars. And that includes everything that needs to be done to get those farms back to production within 9 months. So that within 9 months you can have bunches again, you can have flow.
Right.
But between the damage and that period, after they have reaped out everything that they can reap out from this damage, they will have no fruits until the 9 months when those fruits come back. And what they do, how they do it, and how much they put on will determine whether they do come back in 9 months and whether they get the yields, the productivity that we want.
Are we expecting a shortage, Lady Coney?
Well, we definitely is expecting a shortage, because, as I say, what you're getting now is what they have reaped and what they have saved, and that will get depleted.
Right.
And after about a month, you won't see anything.
So we're looking at about a 9-month runway.
Right. Usually we estimate for the farmers, for the public, about 9 months.
Okay.
Some farmers are very good and they come back within 7 months.
Right.
Some farmers will come back before that, because I will tell you why. There's a process that we ask you to do to keep your followers as high as possible, which is the next generation.
Okay.
So that if you have this blow, that follower will be very high up in the air.
Wait, followers?
Follow
is like shoot?
All right, let me just say.
Yes.
We call the banana mat a family.
Okay.
The main one is the mother that produces the fruit. The next one is the follower, which is the daughter. And there's a granddaughter attached to that, which is a peeper.
All right.
So that's a family.
Okay.
So when I say the follower, I'm saying the follower because some people don't understand the family part.
Okay.
But that's the daughter, and that's the one you're trying to encourage to come to produce a bunch in the shortest possible time.
Understood. We're certainly getting some facts. We're almost at our break, but very quickly, I've heard it's said about waterlogged roots, that's a challenge. What's going on?
All right. If you look at I said there's something that they should have done before the hurricane. One of the things that you should do before the hurricane is to make sure your drains are cleaned, because bananas, even though it's mostly water, too much water kills it. So if water settles in the root zone for 72 hours or more, the plant will die, the roots will die, and then the whole thing has to go. In fact, it's a bacterial rot that sets in with all of that water, and it dies, and you smell the rot. And if that mat rots, you need to replant.
Right.
So just like the ones that have blown over and lost the whole root, you would have to replant. But you cannot replant in waterlogged situations.
Yeah.
You cannot replant in that infection of bacteria. So you need to ensure that your roots are drained prior to the hurricane. As soon as the hurricane happens, you need to go and see if there are any drains silted up, if anything blocking.
Yes.
And you move those out, because you cannot ensure your productivity if you have too much water. So that's where drainage is important.
And I'm getting why you are saying within 2 days you need to be out
Yes.
there. Okay, we're going to take a quick break. The discussion will continue with Janet Coney, General Manager of the Banana Board, and you, of course. So please, don't go anywhere.
Nutritious food, succulent dishes, superior workmanship, and excellent service. Jamaica is on the go. Let's grow what we eat and eat what we grow. Let's harness the indomitable spirit of our most valued resource, our people. Let's support our local businesses. After all, buying Jamaican means building Jamaica.
Original.
Welcome back. We're still talking bananas with Janet Coney, General Manager of the Banana Board, and we're going to pick up right where we left off. So, Lady Coney, you had spoken about the bacterial rot that happens because of the waterlogged roads. I want to move on to pests.
Right.
Not only, what sort of pests are some of the greatest threats that we're looking at in this season, and how do you mitigate against those?
All right. Bananas are affected by a number of pests and disease agents. Now, because we're going to replant, the roots are important. The soil is important. And they are pests of the soil. The major one that we ask farmers to look out for and mitigate is banana borer weevil. It's a weevil. We call it banana borer. Farmers won't know the weevil part of it. They just call it banana borer. But it eats the corm. So large areas of the corm will be eaten. When you chop them down the bottom, you'll see black areas. Now, when that happens, the roots can't grow and come out. The plants can't anchor very well. So in a wind, it will blow over.
Right.
So you have a chance to look to chop up whatever is blown to see what level of weevil infestation you have. If you don't know, you can call us and we come and help.
Okay.
But if you have too much weevil, then you need to treat that. As soon as you chop up on your roots, you need to treat that. Now, the chopping up itself encourages the weevils because they feed on, they smell all of this, activity and the sumptuous food that they eat, and so they come. What happens though is when you chop up, you need to move the debris away from the mat because you don't want to encourage the weevils to come back into your root zone.
Right.
So you need to do that. If the levels are high, as soon as you chop up, you need to treat because you need to get rid of and treating is twofold. You can treat with an insecticide, which we call Actara, which will do it very quickly. But some farmers don't have, it's expensive.
Right.
You use about 2 packets for an acre, and you mix it up in 2 5-gallon containers, and you use just a small amount, 50 mils to each mat. However, what we encourage farmers to do is to use some biological control naturally, because you have all of these pseudostems and the pseudostem is the trunk that you need to chop up. You have all of these that are going to be left, but and as I tell you, they attract the borers. We are encouraging them to do what we call borer traps, which is this, the part of the trunk about this high. So you have this cylinder and you chop it lengthwise, and you turn those up in the field, and they will bring the borer out away from you. And the birds will eat the weevils that they see.
So if I can just pull it together, look at what is affecting you, chop out that, but don't just leave the debris there. Manage your debris. As well. We're talking about pests, and I want to move on to tropical race 4 disease. I've heard about that, but give us some facts about
All
that.
right. Tropical race 4 disease is not yet in Jamaica. We, the Banana Board, we survey for it.
Right.
We train farmers about it. We tell people about it.
Right.
And I don't lose any opportunity to tell persons.
Yeah.
It is not here, but it can come on anybody. It can come on shoes, it can come in soil, it can come in a piece of banana plant, even a dried piece. It can come as long as you take it from an infected area or an infected plant. It can come. It's in it's in Latin America, it's in South America, it's in Venezuela, which is next to Trinidad,
Right.
which we
do
commute
business.
very much with.
Yeah.
People move with plant material, and the plant material is what carries it. So we are telling people, be aware. Be aware. In times of disaster, people try to help you. They bring you something. We don't take anything from anybody that's coming from overseas with any planting material. All fresh and dried plant material of bananas and plantains are not allowed to come into Jamaica for this very reason. We are asking the farmers who are aware of what it looks like, and I can tell you a little bit about it. It wilts, the leaves are dried. In fact, the waterlogged situation might look a little bit like TR4. That's why we say if you see anything, call us and we'll look. Because it's a wilt, and this is a wilt as well.
Right.
So we ask you to look, but we ask you to be preventative. We tell farmers, don't invite everybody on your farm.
Right.
Anybody who comes on your farm should disinfect their shoes in a disinfectant bath, which we tell them how to prepare. We also ask them, and farmers use workers that will work on different farms.
Yes.
So we ask them, if your worker works on different farms and use their own tools, the tools must be disinfected. Before you disinfect shoes, disinfect tools. If it's your tools, you disinfect before every operation.
Right.
This is a kind of preventative measure. Should it come, that is curtail, it don't spread as fast. And so you call us, if you see anything strange, we will come and we do our tests, we'll do our analysis, and we'll tell you if it's it. People call us for anything and everything, and we do come.
And that's fine.
Because that's what we do.
That's fine. It's fascinating. We've covered the hurricane, we've covered waterlog, we've covered the necessity of draining. You're telling me now there's infection control on farms. You don't normally think that all of this goes into raising banana, but I'm so happy that you've given us that. We're into our last minute and a half or so. I have to ask you about fertilization, because we're thinking about recovery. Fertilization have anything to do with recovery?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely necessary. But I just want persons to understand that there are other pests and disease that you need to treat for. Leaf spot disease is a major one throughout the life of the crop. But the plants will not grow well, especially since you have had a hurricane, you have had a flood. So all of your fertilizers probably has leached out or depleted. So fertilizer replenishment is extremely necessary. And bananas use a lot. All of that, it takes out not just the fruit, it takes the entire plant after you reap.
Right.
You chop out that. So you have to replace the nutrients that have been taken away for the next generation that is coming. So after you have cleared your drains, treated your roots, the next thing.
Move the debris. I've been listening. Yes.
Within the next 4 weeks, you must apply your fertilizer.
Okay.
We don't recommend it more than 6 weeks, but within 4 weeks. The first fertilizer we ask you to put on is nitrogen. That pushes leaves, and you really want it to push things that are coming. We use sulfate of ammonia, which is a nitrogen fertilizer. We say 4 ounces per mat, per root. If it's urea, which is another form of nitrogen, it's half of the amount.
Okay.
So it depends on what to use. And within another, it depends on how we tell you. Because if rains are falling, often, we don't recommend you put a large amount of fertilizer on and wait the length. We ask you to break up your fertilizer and fertilize more often. But we'll help you. We'll tell farmers how to do that. And the kind of fertilizer you put on is based upon what we have assessed and tell you specifically what you should put on.
Lady Coney, you know what I'm saying? I am in awe of the well of knowledge that you have brought. We simply don't have enough time for all of it. So tell us in the last few seconds, how do farmers get all this information that you guys have? Where do we go?
you come to us. Banana Board. The Banana Board has an extension team, which is a team that helps the farmer on a daily basis with how he grows, how he ensure that he gets the best profit. We also have a research department. So the research department is who collects the samples and tests and tell you how much fertilizer to put out, tell you whether what is affecting your plant, whether it's TR4 or it's just mocha disease or whatever. Our support is with us.
Yes.
And we're a team that is very integrated. We also have a tissue-culture biofactory that we produce tissue-culture plants. But in this hurricane, the farmers have enough suckers to replant for themselves, because whatever is blown down, you can replenish from that. You can take from that to replenish.
And you said something earlier, reach out to the Banana Board.
Yes,
they can
please.
call you every day.
Every day, anytime.
You are here for the farmers. That is all the time we have for today. We have learned so much, and we have been having this discussion with Janet Coney, General Manager of the Banana Board. This has been Get the Facts. Join me next week, same time, same place, for another engaging discussion. Do take care.
Darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that. In moments of anger, we tend to think, fight fire with fire. But obviously the result is a riotous blaze both parties may find difficult to put out. Take a lesson from Brother King and meet hate with love. The result will leave both parties satisfied and with peace that surpasses all understanding. That's it for your Sunday afternoon detox. See you next time.
Our oceans are coming under environmental threats. There are three major environmental threats. They call it the triple planetary crisis, and there's no area of the world that is immune to these challenges. Challenge 1 is climate change. Challenge 2 is biodiversity loss. Challenge 3 is pollution. Climate change is the warming of our atmosphere. It is the changing of our weather patterns. We know that it's because of carbon dioxide and carbon monoxide being released into the environment at a rate that the environment can't absorb it. What that's causing is warming of our oceans at a rate which is frightening. It doesn't allow the organisms that live in your ocean to adapt as fast as they need to. That's one of the things that's affecting biodiversity loss in the oceans. If people use unsustainable fishing practices, then you take more fish than you need. You don't allow the oceans to replenish itself and to be as healthy as it can. So when you have people that use nets that are too small or fish out baby parrotfish, they are committing a crime in some cases, but they're actually harming the ocean that you own a part of. The third issue, which we have the capacity to deal with, is the pollution issue. To generate ocean wealth, we need to have ocean health.
The issue of plastics is just that, an issue. Our planet is being overrun and we need to figure out a way to solve it. Let's learn more.
It is all around us. It's in almost everything we use. At times it's impossible to imagine life without it, and yet life with it could cease to exist. Plastic pollution is caused by the accumulation of plastic waste in the environment. It has extensive impact on the environment, marine life, and human health, contaminating waterways, harming wildlife through ingestion and entanglement, and disrupting ecosystems. But if this thing is so dangerous, why did we begin to use it in the first place? Even better, why don't we just get rid of it? As humans lived and consumed much of the planet's resources, thinkers began to look for a better way to provide for the needs and desires of people while keeping the environment intact. After all, nature can only produce so much wood, metal, stone, bone, tusk, and horn. The search was one for something that could replace and spare the Earth's natural resources. John Hyatt invented celluloid, the first artificial plastic, but it was flammable. Leo Baekeland invented bakelite, the one responsible for modern plastic. Bakelite was the first fully synthetic plastic, meaning it contained no molecules found in nature. Marketed as the material of 1,000 uses, bakelite could be molded into almost anything, providing endless possibilities. The creation of new materials also helped free people from the social and economic constraints imposed by scarcity of natural resources. When advertisements praised celluloid as the savior of elephants and tortoise, of course that's something humans could get behind. Plastics began to replace other materials such as wood, glass, and fabric in our daily items. Thus, the plastic revolution began. Fast forward to now, and plastic is in everything that we use: our bottles, kitchen utensils, food packaging, cell phones, televisions, computers, furniture, clothing, makeup, you name it. And thus the problem of plastic pollution. Did you know that almost every piece of plastic that you have used still exists? This is so because plastics do not biodegrade. That is, they do not decay naturally and in a way that is not harmful. Plastics generally only break down into smaller pieces, and even that will take some time. It takes about 20 years for a plastic bag to break down. Plastic water bottles and cups take 450 years. Our toothbrushes and disposable diapers take 500 years to break down. It means the things we use for our comfort and dispose of today will not disintegrate in our lifetime, causing not just problems for ourselves, but also for tomorrow's people. So with nowhere to go, plastics stick around and contaminate soil and waterways, disrupting ecosystems and harming biodiversity. Marine life, for instance, mistakes plastic debris for food, leading to ingestion and blockages in their digestive systems. This can cause injury, starvation, and even death. In addition, chemicals leaching from plastics can also harm marine organisms. The harm to our environment and animals from plastic waste impacts humans who use and ingest what nature creates. Microplastics have been found in seafood, salt, and drinking water, raising concerns about the health threat to humans by way of consumption. It contributes to the spread of diseases by providing breeding grounds for bacteria and other pathogens in stagnant water trapped in discarded items. It can harm human activities such as fishing, tourism, and recreation, which rely on healthy marine and terrestrial ecosystems. Furthermore, the economic costs of plastic pollution, including cleanup efforts and damage to infrastructure, ultimately affect communities. Additionally, exposure to chemicals present in plastic additives and pollutants absorbed by plastics may have long-term health implications, including endocrine disruption, reproductive issues, and cancer. Plastics are made from fossil fuels, which contribute to the climate crisis. In 2019, plastics generated 1.8 billion metric tons of greenhouse gas emission, which is about 3.8% of the global total. Addressing plastic pollution is crucial not only for environmental conservation, but also for safeguarding human health and well-being. So, what is to be done? We need to significantly reduce plastic production and limit its use. It's something that will not be easy, but which experts say must be done. Recycling, while of some help, will not solve the long-term problem. We need to phase out single-use plastics, something Jamaica has already started. In addition to small bags and straws, the government and civil society-led agenda is focusing immediately on things like plastic lunchboxes and personal care products with microplastic beads in them. As a society, we all need to be involved in finding sustainable alternatives to plastics. Individually, we can spread awareness about the environmental movements and donate or join organizations confronting the issue. Without a clean and healthy environment, we cannot prosper and live healthy lives.
And with that, we've come to the end of today's show. To catch a recap of this or any other, feel free to log on to our website, gis.gov.jm. Until then, I'm Adrian Atkinson. Do take care.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.